Hello and welcome to session 5 of Free from the Yoke. This is us going into April. We've got 5 sessions left of this. We have a little bit of a change today. We have one player that had to withdraw, and so we've got Patrick, who's come in to join us to bring in a new house, a new character, and then we had another player who was a little ill before the session, and so isn't going to make it. So everyone is gracious while we've been here. It's gonna be, you'll see on the video, it's a little bit shorter than usual because we spent some time doing some of the discussion kind of off screen here. And if I recall correctly, Jesse, you're out next session and the session after, right?
Yes, next 2 weeks I am out, sadly.
Okay, all right. And we'll definitely at the end like kind of fix where you want to be and maybe figure out how we kind of love letter some stuff for you in the meantime.
And if you want to turn, we can talk about the DM. If you want to turn the age while I'm gone, also, because that moment might come, I'm happy for that to happen. We can talk about.
Absolutely. So what we're going to do today is bring Patrick's house in, talk about what they're about, kind of get that set up. Patrick loves maps, and so he'll get to play with the map that we have with all the beautiful pieces. So there's that. If you're watching this, which I assume you are, or you're listening to it on the podcast, then this is part of the Gauntlet Hangouts, which is an online gaming community. If you're watching it this first week of April, know that the weekend of the 16th through the 19th, we have a big open gaming event for anybody to kind of wants to try out sessions. It's free. We've got a calendar app for it. Things open up Monday the 6th. You can find out more about that at gauntlet-rpg.com. Check that out if you're curious. If you've watched any of these videos and you're like, oh, I'd really like to try one of these things out, come and take a look. So Patrick, give us the sort of the elevator pitch for your family, and then let's walk through the steps and the questions here.
So I chose, as an outsider coming into this game, I chose the Envoys of the Wider World, which is a playbook that's representing an empire outside of this like homeland area that we're in. It's not the empire that was invading here, but it's an empire that's in some way on sort of a level with them. I am but a small representative of them here in the land, but I use the threat of their violence or the promise of their wealth to get things done here. My empire supported the rebellion when y'all overthrew the empire and drove them out. And my characters, my ambassador, are now here to collect on the debts owed them. As far as the country, I'm thinking something very like northern and cold, small but rich. I'm thinking gems and possibly like precious metals. Norse-ish as like a Viking-ish as like a cultural touchstone.
Okay. Like full Viking Norse, or more like Laplanders, or what do you just kind of, sorry, is it more vague right now?
Yeah, it's sort of vague, but less like go a Vikings, and more like sort of Tolkien elves or Tolkien dwarves as Swedish Vikings.
Okay. That seems reasonable. And did you have a chance you took a look at our lines and veils, so you're aware of those?
Mm-hmm.
And don't forget, if you need to add anything to that, you should feel free to do that. But I just want to remind us, since we got an important safety tool. So let's start kind of walking through. And you're calling your family Novgorod?
That's the country that they're representing, is Novgorod.
Okay. All right. So we start with the ancient past, and you're going to mark 3 sites of priceless natural resources on the map, and then pick one to put on the map, or make up your own landmark, and that means from this list of things.
Yeah, that phrasing took me a bit.
Yes.
Okay, map. There's a map.
Yes. Now, you
Oh, I
can.
think I'm on
think
view
it's-
only.
I think it's on view only.
Oh, is it did that thing? Okay, hang on a second. I think what happened was I was sharing with Garrett a bunch of the sheets this week, and I think that I changed the subfolder to view only, and that changed the upper folder.
So many play aids. Gauntlet has so many play aids.
I think I sent 30 new play aids to Garrett,
Wow.
including things like, if I count, like all 3 flavors of 7th Sea and stuff that I sent.
Oh.
So y'all have very pretty pictures and stuff on
Yes.
here.
So there is a folder in the bigger folder that has the clip art images that you can use there.
How?
So what you would do is, when you go to insert images, as you would usually do, you would go to Drive, and then you should be able to find that folder. It may take a bit to find it, but once you've got it in there, you should have it each time you open it up. I've put it's a bigger folder, and then I put some subfolders of like woods, city images, that kind of thing. And don't worry about putting the sort of the 3 priceless resources. We'll have you do that later as you wish. The more important one is
okay,
the
I've got
picture
those.
things. Got them?
Got those sort of teed up there. Good.
Okay.
Okay, so for the big landmark there, though, from the ancient past, I really liked. There's one on there I'm just swerving away from because reality. But there's one of them that's a giant boulder covered in wind-carved whorls and glyphs.
Ooh.
That sounded interesting.
So we have Amestia, which is a neighboring country which is to the northeast. We haven't really defined anything to the northwest or the north central. So I don't know.
Amestia is the empire.
Oh, is it? Is that the name of the empire? Okay, I couldn't remember what that was. It's still borders. It's interesting because we haven't really referred to them so much, except in the very much the third person throughout.
And they haven't been giving us any troubles.
Well, you've got a militant warlord who's your leader.
Let's see. So that's a big rock.
Yep.
Yeah,
as you can see, you'll be resizing these things.
But still, it's a very large rock. Let's see.
Can have it north of Mekti or off to the northwest corner.
And I'm sorry, which house are you playing, Jesse?
The Forgers of the Marble City.
Gotcha. So you're sort of there in that mountain range.
Yeah, we're sort of like spread out. Though I chose to sort of like there was like a dispersed option. So we kind of like hang out in everyone else's towns and villages making shit. The idea is sort of that the Marbled City is like this like mythical historic and eschatological thing where like if you think about like Jerusalem and Jewish tradition or like some of these other like it used to be our capital and it will be again kind of places.
I gotcha.
Next year in Jerusalem.
Exactly.
So I think it's up there near Mekti, is that forest? I think sort of north central is where Novgorod is.
Okay.
If Amestia is sort of northeast.
Imagine there's
So-
probably a mountain range, probably separating them
Mhm.
from them, that kind of thing.
So I think this giant rock, go with the windstone, wind carved worlds, and it's like I like the idea of like the winds around it whistling in different sort of like tones and harmonics off the
Ooh.
different whirls through it.
I like that very much.
And it's sort of on the path, that my people would take to come down here, but it's ancient. Who knows where it's from?
Between Mekti and the Great Lake there,
Yeah.
Ostrova, where the church has its facilities. All right. So what did you pick for your stat line?
So just everywhere I click, I'm just choosing something else. No! Giant text boxes that take up the entire freaking map. Okay, cool. There. I'm clicked off. So I went with if your patron is a manipulative and cagey organization.
Okay.
So reach -1, grasp 1, sleight 1.
Okay. And then how about the customs?
So for my rule, it's an important and appointed ambassador and their staff, which the ambassador is going to be who I'm playing.
Okay.
The populace, and this'll tie into some of my move stuff later on with the ambassador.
Okay.
But I obviously don't have a whole big populace of Novgorods or whatever the people living their term is going to end up being, living in this area. So the choices are like people who are just coming in and visiting, or a generation of people that got here before me. But I think what it is this Tyler was describing that, like, since the Empire's been driven out of here, there are a lot of like local dukes and barons and people that have sprung up and made their own little weird county or city kingdom or whatever.
Yeah. The Arbiter has appointed all of these different, like the heroes, like if there were a couple dozen heroes from the fights, all of them got their own sort of shire to oversee.
Nice. So my populace, such that it is and how it will be growing going forward, is people that I have freed from rulers and dukes and barons who should never have been put in charge of anyone.
Yeah.
People that have been treated badly or oppressed, or their little duchy has just gone to shit since the Empire moved out and the new idiots running it. So we come in, we upset the local balance, but for reasons that are hard to argue with or easy to justify. And then we end up with a local populace somewhere in the middle of everybody else's lands that are very loyal to us.
And your culture?
Culture, I went with subtle signs of your affiliation worked into heraldry and outfits. So, like, they're taking they're making the effort to wear like local clothing. They're not usually wearing very foreign fashion, although for high functions or whatever they will. But everything that they wear, somewhere it's marked in with like symbols and iconography from their country, so that it's obviously not local in some subtle way.
What's the symbol of Novgorod? What's the central iconography? Like we're going to see other elements, but what's the one that always occurs?
I think it's triangular. It's sort of like a bit swirly triangular, sort of like a very simple paisley outline, but done in triangular ways.
Okay. And then we skip down. The Arbiter is essentially the warlords. It's a more military of the Arbiters, to just tell you that, and so that you have a sense of it. Legendary warriors. let's go to the Imperial occupation. You get to put another landmark on the map for this.
Yes, I was excited about this one. There's obviously only one choice out of these, and that's the ever-burning chasm torn open following the Empire's worst atrocity. I mean, obviously.
Uh,
Let's see, where's your ever-burning chasm icon?
I'm not sure I have an ever-burning chasm icon.
Huh.
That
Seems
might be
like a lack
little-
of planning.
I know. I should have put a horrible gorge. So torn open. So this suggests that the Empire used some kind of magic or ritual magic or things like that. Is that how you imagine it?
Yeah, some sort of like power they ripped up from out of the earth that should have stayed buried and won't go back down now to some degree.
And do you think that it's them awakening a local power or them using their imperial power that they have like outside of their borders that they shouldn't have, or is it something else?
Uh-oh. Making bad decisions. Do it. Okay, there we go. Aha. Upside
Okay.
down, it's a chasm, sort of.
Oh yeah.
Something like that. I'll figure out where it goes.
Okay.
I like sort of a combination of those two.
Okay.
Like they used their foreign rituals to subvert something native and very like ancient and integral with the land there, and that's what caused this ongoing problem.
Okay.
So they've warped in a magic that wasn't meant to control that sort of power.
Awesome. So how did your patron family act during the occupation?
So I think my patron, I think Novgorod fought against the Empire and sheltered refugees during the occupation. I have to figure out somewhere to keep a track of my favor score.
Oh, it should be on the sheet there.
Oh, gotcha. Oh, yes. No, not my favor. My trust, which is going to be coming up later.
Oh, yeah. There's another.
Yeah,
thing here.
I
Okay.
have a personal thing I'm going on, but I'm at favor +1.
And how powerful is your patron?
That's where I was saying it's significantly smaller but more humane rather than a peer of the Empire and similarly colonialist.
Okay.
Can I ask Patrick?
Yeah.
Since you say that you were taking in refugees and kind of supporting, in the end, supported the rebellion, do you think that like there were exiled nobles that it is something that there are people who have now come back who stayed and were fostered back in your place, so that there's a knowledge of what your kingdom is like to us?
Oh, interesting. Like we took some refugees back with us.
Right, when it was, when we were having to flee the Empire, kind of like France with Scotland. France would periodically send some Scottish noble back over and say, "Hey, kill the English."
But yeah, imagine that there are people that were in exile that have now returned.
Yeah,
I
I think that makes sense.
I like that. That's cool.
So here's a relationship question. Who sent a delegation to request your aid? They get to say what they promised you if you aided the resistance and why they haven't delivered it yet. So let's just, so we have it on the table. Waldemar, give us the 30-second pitch on the Forgers of the Marbled City.
Yeah, so we're ruled by sort of individual meritocratic families. There's really only two. It goes back and forth. Currently ruled by the family. don't have like one central stronghold. We're scattered around. We're focused on like craft and building things, sculpture in particular of a wide variety, although not necessarily exclusively. Do you want a little bit of the history of like what we've done in the game, or is that good?
Did that give you a good flavor, Patrick?
Yeah, I think
Okay.
so.
All right. And Tyler?
We are the teachers. We're the holders of kind of the ancient knowledge and beliefs and folklore of this area. When the Empire came in, the church followed, and we were kind of on the outs. We were hunted down, and we used minstrels and skalds that would travel around, and in their songs, they told the old stories and kept the old stories alive. And we, when we turned to fight against the Empire, we supported the Arbiter, but the Arbiter did kill off our council of elders and place in new elders when they took control to make sure that the teachers were on their side. My character being one of the few elders that wasn't a member of the council at the time. And we I don't know, does that give enough of a flavor for kind of us? Yeah,
I think so.
So which one do you think sounds more like they would have sent a delegation to you?
So I think it sounds like there may have been some connections between the forgers and us already, since they're interested in like making things of beauty. We have like jewels and precious metals, things like that. There may have been some sort of like trade relationship already open there.
I think there had to have been. If you have the good stuff, we want the good stuff.
Exactly.
And, you know, raw materials are what we're after.
So what did the Fortress of the Marble City promise when you asked the envoys for aid in the resistance? Would you have asked them for wealth, weapons, to shelter people? What kind of thing would you, or I mean, what would you have promised them? Trade, marriage.
I'm trying to remember. I'm thinking about like, because we were kind of like on the fence, right? We started out. I'm just thinking of the timeline of the rebellion, right?
Mm-hmm.
We started out kind of collaborating, because we were like, you know, hey, that's why that low favor score, right? Like we were like, hey, you know, we just want to make our stuff, and like it's been okay for us. Didn't end up working out so well, and we, you know, obviously joined the rebellion. So I think what we probably would have promised was I think to do something with some of their raw materials. Like what do the envoys value? Like, is there stuff that you value?
So on a very basic level, I think Novgorod itself definitely needs like resources to live off.
Yeah, we don't have those. Here's maybe what we could like. Maybe it was maybe what we offered you was like architectural and design skill, right? You live in the cold north, right? Like we're like, yeah, we can build you those like extra strong buildings that will be well insulated and keep you warm, and that won't need like constant repair every summer, you know.
Yeah, so
like,
I like the idea of like a lot of our biggest cities being based very much in mountains. So if you can offer us the like architectural know-how to expand our cities out from the mountains and into the open and still be able to survive the winters, yeah, they would be all over that.
Does that imply craftsmen being sent there to do it?
Um,
Well, the next question is, why haven't they fulfilled that yet?
there you go. And that's the reason, right? Like we can give you the design blueprints, but like we actually don't have the manpower. Like this has been a real issue for us. So like yeah, you could probably start a little bit, but like without the train, if not like the actual laborers, at least the trained engineers, like you can't get very far.
Nice. So I get influence on you from that. And then who hid your initial envoys from the Empire? Which I mean that may be like geographically I'm passing through your territory to get down here, Tyler.
Yeah, that makes sense for me, I think. I mean, I don't want to leave the horselords out of your potential influence, but that really sounds like me.
Okay. Then you say what sacrifices you made to allow me to escape notice.
You, as in you particularly?
No, my
Your
family.
character, your family. I think that we were circulating your people because you ended up, it sounds like you've always gone amongst the people offering them better choices. Now we have the Arbiter you're doing it with, and probably you were doing it with the Empire as well.
Oh, yeah.
So I imagine that we kind of filtered you around with like our scalds and with our faithful. And I think the sacrifice we gave is our people died so that you wouldn't be found. Kind of those priest hole sets, those hidden bookshelf things. We had people that would hide you, and some of them died to make sure that you weren't found.
Okay, nice. You get influence on me.
All right. And then we went through some, as a opponent within the thing we would have gone, we went to some flashpoints, some decisions on that, and a lot of that stuff's represented on the map. So let's come to the new land, get another landmark.
Yes. I think the Forlorn Stockade holding the occupation's worst criminals sounds fun. That's presumably going to be like Empire people and people that sided with them in the overthrow.
Yeah. What kind of we talk? Is it like one of those? Is it actual like tower sort of castle prison? Is it actual stockade? Is it a salt mine that they threw people into?
Could I steal one of these other islands on this lake? The
Sure.
inland sea
Yeah,
there?
absolutely. Yeah.
Make like our historical fantasy Alcatraz?
Yeah.
Buildings. Oh, you all look way too nice. No. Nasty and horrible.
You are so fast on those spreadsheets, Lowell. It's just lovely to watch.
Yeah, so I've added a few more lines for influence per Tyler's request.
But yeah, I think it's this thing of it's just this island that has no trees or anything growing on it. So they don't have to do a lot to keep people there. There's just no way off except swimming for miles and miles and miles through the inland sea.
I like that. All right, let's talk about your doctrine. What is your mission from your patron?
Okay, so this is where I have to make a decision. I think tying into how things turned out with the forgers there, I'm going to go with mission from my patron is to protect their investment. So when I protect a key resource only found in this land or export a surplus of it back to my patron, I gain a trust with them.
All right. And we'll figure out exactly what that resource looks like. And then lifestyle?
1,000 eyes. And so I'm not going to have like a centralized place, but rather just these different like groups or baronies that I've liberated. Your agents are spread throughout the land, giving you intimate knowledge of each faction's operations. When you activate agents within another house's seat of power, gain 1 trust, or spend 1 trust to give the subterfuge roll advantage.
Nice. And then do you know what you're going to want for your resources?
Yes. Surplus in coin and luxury, and needs in recruits, weaponry, and raw materials.
Okay.
Sort of makes sense.
Yeah. We know that your alliance move is when another house accepts your offer of aid or resources, you gain influence. We know that your inheritance, you add either 1 to your lore or might, and can appear as an average local or representative of greater power.
Yeah,
and you
we're
have diplomatic
really good
immunity.
at like fading in to the populace. Yeah, and then that diplomatic immunity is awesome.
Yeah. And then you're going to pick 3 assets. You don't have to pick those right now. You can pick those later.
I think I
Unless
picked
you already know.
already.
Oh, wow. You are on it.
That's why part of why it took me so long is I was like, I'm going to do everything. So the signs of the exalted are outfits, inscribed jewelry, it's heraldry and meditative, which is interesting to figure out what that means. The signs of the courier are outriders, they're followers that are hardy and shadowy. And I think those are going to be a lot of the people that we've picked up here. And then signs of the subversive is a weapon, poison knives, melee, and hidden.
And then your moves, you get the not from here. Do you want to give us just a quick summary of what that does?
So there are a couple of ways I can spend trust, but the not from here is sort of my main way to build it up and then to spend it. It represents that I am, hold with me here, not from here. But yeah, we figure out at the start of each age whether Novgorod wants me to be working for the Arbiter or against the Arbiter, and then I get points for doing things like that, and I can spend them to pick up resources or hold private meetings or pick up rumors, things like that.
Okay. And then what do you want to take for your other move?
So my other move is carry a big stick. Which gives me another way to spend trust. When I am negotiating with another house, I can spend trust to bring in the leverage of Novgorod, which makes them either agree with what I'm wanting them to do and they get to roll flush with resources right then, or they can refuse and roll fall into crisis right then.
All right. And then so that's your family.
Yeah.
You're going to do an ambassador, you said?
Yes. Wait, I had a thing. Tormund. I got a name.
Okay.
Take that. You can't catch me.
I was going to wait. I was going to be generous today before I made you pick up a name. What do we need to know about Tormund, your ambassador?
Very cunning, not very good at lore because again, not from around here, so I get a lot of the history and details wrong. Let's see, we'll come back to the backstory in just a minute. I took the leader role, so they're currently like in charge of Novgorod's forces here and this push to get our resources and get our money back and get some people and shit. Moves are long memories, which is when I go into a new court, I might know some secrets or leverage over people. And voice of the crowds, which is sort of how I find new people to liberate. But when I go amongst the downtrodden and persecuted, I can find out secrets about how to bring down their oppressors.
Nice.
So yeah, it's that. So yeah, my backstories. Let's see. Someone told me something that was great for my house and disastrous for theirs. Someone and I have history that's quite unprofessional. And someone saved my life when a deal went very wrong. Any of those sound appealing to either of you? I don't know your characters as well as I know your families.
I love
go ahead.
all of them. I just because I think it's a little bit against type for me, and I think that would be fun. The history that is quite unprofessional. I think that I've played Valdemar as like a very kind of like calculating, always trying to make the move that gets him an edge. And like I think former lovers, when my house owes you a lot that we haven't paid you, is like against that type a little bit. I mean, that might be why we're former lovers. I don't know. We can figure that out in play. But like
Nice.
that's in the past for sure. Good
Nice. I like that. Yeah. And it is definitely a bad decision to get in an emotional relationship with the guy who's coming in to get money back from your. Yeah, no, that's wonderful.
I think I like Dadushka told me something that was great for my house and disastrous for theirs.
Oh.
And I think what I told you was, or I let it be known that my council of elders aren't really elders, and they have lost a great deal of the knowledge of the mysteries. Because there's a part of my backstory where I've stolen their ritual capabilities, which my house doesn't have one. But I'm interested to know, what do you think our relationship is? You've heard me talk about my character. I've talked about it every time we played to you, but I described him as a cross between Gandalf and Fizzban. So he do you think we were drinking buddies? Did you wheedle this sort of stuff out of him, or was it something that he dropped kind of just casually, or are we close companions?
I don't know. Like how much would you be? How inclined would you to be complaining about something like that in public versus needing to be pushed on something like?
I would not give that up easily. We would have had to have had something that would have caused you to know that from me.
Yeah, I think Tormund like made a habit of plying you with alcohol more and more as my hiding in your place went on, until like there were a couple of nights where you remember saying things that you shouldn't have said, but hadn't quite gotten to the point of passing out and not remembering, like Tormund might have liked.
Gotcha. So it's a faux friendship where probably because Dadushka is not very quick on the uptake here. So he feels like, you're friends, and he gets drunk around you and he spills shit. He doesn't know you are using it for your own ends.
Yeah. And, while he may genuinely like Dadushka to some degree, like, he is also intentionally using him. So Perfect. Take that as you will.
Nice.
I think I'll take it as being used.
Lots of free drinks.
Let's take our break till about to 9:30 if we're on Eastern, and then when we come back, we're going to start with the zoom up with Dadushka and Waldemar and spend some time getting them oriented, and then we'll roll you in, Patrick. Does that sound okay? Okay, that's what we're doing.
I got to get my games up for the weekend, the free gaming. You're muted, my little drink.
Oh, you're going to run some stuff?
Absolutely. I plan to put up, I'm hoping to put up at least 2.
Here's what I might do if I were you. I might wait until we do see the sign up day and we see what the response is. And then if like we start selling out of things and put stuff on there, and if not, maybe play a game. We'll put a game up. Yeah.
Do we have a lot of games up?
We've got over 24 games.
Oh,
we're getting close to 30 games here. And while I would love to think that we're going to fill all those, I don't know. I literally have no clue. This is completely uncharted territory.
I think there's demand. I mean, I'm sad. I can't that weekend, but
right.
like, I think there's going to be, like, I keep on seeing people online, like, I want games. I want to play online.
The question is whether they'll do it, and if we can communicate out to them. We need people to get into like the Magpie Discord and other places like that, the other communities, you know, RPG.
And folks listening to this, we're going to have awesome gaming.
Yes. Get them a message out there. I asked Jason to put a message about it in the Patreon feed, which is good. And I will hit some other people up. I posted it on the Indie Game Reading Club. Paul Beakley was nice enough to let me do that.
I think I'll go ahead and at least commit to put one up.
Okay.
Because it means then that I know a space that I can't go and grab one of the awesome games when they become available to play.
And we did fix that thing where people could do a hack to sign up. It apparently was a little goof up thing on the way that the calendar was configured. That I talked to the developer, who's been very nice and got it fixed. So our last scene was with a bizarre sort of temple in the woods, and that may be the last time we saw Trieste and his followers, though what he knows about the Fae and things may come back. But we zoom out. The players whose characters weren't on screen for that, when we come to them, their next family move that they can make with advantage. So Waldemar, when we last left you, you had received these new I don't want to say troops, but these new recruits from the mountains who'd come down. So what do we come back to you? What is the next thing that you're doing?
So I mean, I really need to get the forge going. I have like fucked this up bad. I think the play is actually a character move though, and not a house move, because I think it's enacting the ritual there. So
sure.
I think maybe what I want to do though is let's start out by reading. I'm just trying to figure out the best way to sort of like, I want to try and set that up, right?
Okay.
In a way that like makes sense. Because the ritual I have, let me just read this to you. Right. One of the things I can do with it is I love how evocative this is, right? I can when your character enacts the ritual, they may do a bunch of boring things, or possibly draw upon the earth's scorching red blood. And you know, it's going to be messy, but getting something hot and scorching up in that forge is a great way to is a great thing to do to get it going when it's underwater.
So one of the things is that this is a family ritual that, you know, it's passed down, so it doesn't have the cost or the banes that the other ones necessarily do. So tell me, mean, is this something that Valdemar has known since they were early, or is there a book that you had to go to? How do you imagine when you go to do this what this looks like?
I think I had a conversation with Tatiana. I think it was one of those things. It was like it was like after me and Oren went into the forge and Oren died, and I was like I was like, I generally try to do things without her. She doesn't really want to be involved. And Tatiana, Patrick, is my sister, who is the sort of head of the house, head of the family. Even though I have sort of taken charge, and she is more on the doing her art stuff.
Would you have traveled to where she was, or would she have come?
I think I went all the way. I think this was like while that whole thing was going on. That journey took time.
Yeah.
Right. So I think I went all the way up there.
Right. And she would have greeted you. She news had come of your injuries, and so she is shocked to see you, and she can see that you are probably still healing from that, and that will probably make her break away from the work that she's doing more than anything else. And she said, "Well, Waldemar, why have you come? Why did you make such a journey?" And
Arbiter wants us to get the forge back open, and it's underwater, infested with something.
I know that we looked at it a few years ago, and it was not practical. We had other things to attend to.
We don't have other things to attend to anymore, Tatiana. This is what we have to attend to now. And it just, I know we have that. We must be able to draw on the power of the earth somehow. It's the heat at its core, something.
There is the rituals. I mean, but that has never been your, and she kind of pauses, it's never been your focus. I mean, this is something that takes discipline to do.
You calling me undisciplined?
No, you know what I mean. You're neither a priest nor a craftsman. You are a diplomat, and you keep us together for that. I respect that, but
I've built with my hands the same as everyone else in this family. It's true. In recent years, I've been using that craft to other ends, our ends, but I know you meant no offense.
I did not. No.
I know you didn't. I know you meant no offense, but I can do this.
I will have the deep sculptor write you out a copy of this. But you know that this is dangerous. But this is not without risk to you on many levels.
I'll take your warning to heart.
I wish I had more to spare to support you in this endeavor.
Hopefully this will get us a little something to spare.
Yes, I'm so close to finishing this water hammer.
Well, that will be something.
Yes.
And I think maybe the scene ends with us like talking about the details of that.
Absolutely. Yeah, and they bring you, and I imagine because it's your people, I imagine that this is even though it's been written here, a copy made for you. It's probably beautifully done on like a heavy cloth roll. So it's sturdy and rolled into a thing for you, and given with some gravity to you. And your sister says, "This must not fall into other hands." You know that. It goes without saying, but I'm obliged to.
Of course. This is our family secret, and I'll keep it as such.
Let's cut to Dadushka, and then we'll come back and do the ritual roll, I think. Dadushka,
Yes.
you had a ritual last time, and in which you flooded the north.
I did.
You did, yes. Those rains are still kind of happening. People will tell that the winds whip down off of Nadezhda into the windstone, and the song that is being played now is unlike anything anyone has ever heard.
And the River of Peace once more runs.
Yes, people are shocked. So, what is your next step, Dadushka?
Okay. I personally have seen the vision of the Fey Lord type creatures to the south, the chains being relaxed because the Empire has left. I've seen the spirits have told me that for the new hero to arise, the retinue must be assembled. While we have the spear, there are other pieces that must be found. What I want to do is, me personally, Dadushka, will go to Mekti and will sleep amongst the trees one time there to feel the spirits again. For the house, I'm curious, do you think what I've done justifies finding a surplus? I wanted land.
Well, we can do a read the wind if you want with advantage. Do you feel like, does that feel reasonable?
I suppose. I was hoping the ritual itself showed a new surplus.
Well, I think the ritual itself gave you the info that you wanted.
Okay.
All
right.
And you've already, you'll have that wisdom to allow you to do that ritual, this next one.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, you can read the wind with advantage.
Reach. Oh, with advantage. Thank you.
Yeah, that's the zoom out, the benefit you get from that.
That's right. Okay, cool. So, and I know we have this here. I should have already pulled it up. There it is.
Where's that roller at? Nearly modern guppy.
So close. So with 3 and a +1. That's a 10.
Look at you. So on a 10 plus, you get to ask the question, and then we'll mark the map with the sign of the answer.
Oh, that's nice. Okay, cool. How do we get surplus land?
How do we get surplus land? I think that the north of the lake, between the lake and the Amestia, during the rebellion, people called on the spirits of the earth to make that area treacherous and impassable and dangerous, and that's 10 years on. It was during the rebellion and so on. But the spirits show you that they have calmed themselves there, and that area that was once dangerous, that the spirits of the land were unsettled and attacking anyone, that they have returned to their slumber and to their peaceful roles, and that land, no one lives there. And that, if you send people there, then maybe you may have to push some things out, but it'll be modest, and it will allow you to gather lands for your house.
Okay. All right. And my character visiting Mekti, can I assume I get the one more vision?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that this is that vision.
That's that vision. All right, yeah. Excellent. Then you and I can discuss along the way what the well, we've
Yeah.
talked. We've actually discussed what the ritual I'm looking for is.
I think that in order for someone to do this, that this is not a ritual that is given to your house, but is given to you, and that they must be anointed and aligned with your wishes. Like they need to be of an order that you command in order to undertake this ritual. Does that seem like a fair cost?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That
All right.
makes sense. Go ahead. Sorry.
No.
Then I think that Dadushka, after having his time in the wilderness, will return back to Ochikjai, where is it? Ognaya. Ognaya. There we
We're
are.
paying the price of our naming conventions.
Yes.
I pity any like Russian, Lithuanian, Estonian
We are so
people
sorry.
who watch this stream. I'm so sorry for butchering your language.
Yes. But I'll return back to the council, and I will tell them of this new land that I believe we can go to. That this is open to us. The people, we can bring our people. The land will be welcoming. And I will mention to them that we have to look to the south, though, because the entirety of our kingdom is in threat from these fairy lords. But what I want to know, Lowell, is how do they react to that? Because that will inform what I do next.
Well, that's a good question. Let's look real quickly. You are a lore master, right?
I am.
So let me look at your roll moves.
I'm thinking of going to champion if they agree that if they don't say, "Oh, that's children's stories. These fairies can't possibly be doing it."
Well, now, and here's the thing: is that choice is in your hands as a player. You have control over the direction of the house. So, what do you think? What do you think they do? I mean, here's the thing: is I want you to imagine that for them, the context of this. You're the one who brought back the head.
Mm-hmm.
You're the one who created the river. And now they're seeing it. Now you're coming with this vision of new land, and they're certainly going to be, moving to claim by force there to do that. So there's been a trio of very potent things that you have brought to your household. Do you think that that's enough to convince them that the South should be taken seriously? I mean, because they didn't take you seriously. They sent you on that original mission because they didn't.
Right. Because my other thought was I would go rogue, which is saying what's terrible and awful about the teachers.
What do you think? Which feels better to you? Which feels right?
I think I want to hit rogue later and have that be on the arc.
Yeah,
I think they'll agree with that. They'll know the old lore enough.
Yeah. So long as the land thing goes well, then you can tell that they will take your word seriously.
All right, then I am shifting to champion because I'm sent to understand what's going on with these fae.
Okay, and I will let you come up with the possibilities, and then I'll tell you which one it isn't of those.
I will give you that later, and
then
the house move would be we're trying to take by force that land.
Yeah. Do you want to resolve that now, and then we'll go and do Waldemar's ritual?
Yes.
Okay.
Well,
and then we'll swing back. So then let's have you go ahead and roll your family move, their house move. So claim by force. So go ahead and roll with grasp.
7.
So on a 7 to 9, you're going to choose 2 from the claim by force.
Mm-hmm. All right. That's my grasp minus 1. Yeah. So. It's not completely mine yet. They have to stay there until the next season if they leave or are removed.
We will take the South seriously, but first we have to.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we've been so penned in. We have to settle people here this season.
You fools! And I think it's going to cause some chaos and suffering.
You want me to raise the turmoil?
I do.
Ah, okay. Well, then I will do that. Let me go and find my Arbiter sheet here. Oh, look at that. Turmoil is now at 3. It is slowly creeping closer to what control is right now. So Jesse, what is required of Waldemar to do this ritual?
I think there's a few things. I think he has to get about as deep under the forge as he can get. Get to like the low point, which at the moment is underwater.
Yeah.
So that's a challenge. I think
Imagine we've got this horrible set of sequences of you doing like Tomb Raider style, like swim down in and then coming up for air, finding. I mean, you've watched the maps and things.
Yeah, and I'm not an athlete. You know, there was like a whole probably scene of me like looking, like you said, watching the maps and like taking these 2-dimensional maps that are mapping 3-dimensional space and trying to figure out, you know, what the spot is. And I think it requires a little bit of my blood and probably also a blood sacrifice in that underwater space. I'm imagining like a mountain hare or something, like a kind of large rabbit, and you try getting a large rabbit under the water, still alive, to then like so that it can be killed in a way that makes it bleed. If you'll excuse
we'll veil that.
Yeah. We're not anyways. But you know, like there needs to be a little bit of blood, mine and the rabbits.
Okay.
And yeah, I think those are, and then of course it simply requires my my very powerful focus and attention, which again, that's not so easy to do when you're gasping, when you can't be gasping for breath.
Right. Then let us have you make that roll to enact a ritual, and I think that we can take the advantage on this move.
I will accept that offer and then some. But you won't give me and then some. All I really get is advantage, which is fine.
Yeah.
Okay. Reroll selected. That's a 10.
Look
no,
at
it's
you.
not. It's a 6. Oh no, it's a 7. It's a 7. I get +1.
Okay.
Well,
wow, that was a roller coaster right there.
I like they flickered, and I'm like, oh, the numbers are the same, but sometimes it happens. You roll the same numbers. I guess it's just that's the roll, and then like 4 seconds later, the numbers changed.
Yep. All right. So on a 7 to 9 on this character move.
Well, I never actually said what I wanted to accomplish.
Yeah. What? I assumed you wanted to have the lava come up and give you a heat source and secure, like clear the water away up there.
You assumed correctly, and to create that super to get the forge. We may not have the manpower, but at least the physical plant will be working.
So on a 7 and 9, you get to pick one blessing.
Yeah. Okay, let's look at the blessings. The magic does exactly what you desire, no more, no less. The magic is far more powerful than normal. The surge of power heals the flesh wound. Select 2 banes. The GM cannot pick them. How is that gonna? I assume, is it just 1 bane?
So right now I will pick a bane.
Right. You're going to pick a bane no matter what, right?
Yeah, because you don't have any conditions that on this ritual, so there's nothing that can break.
Right.
but
I just because there's no tutor in this particular case for
Right.
these family rituals. Okay.
Right.
I'm okay with these
doing it what you want.
banes. So I think I think I want it to do exactly what I want.
And I think that will be that cracking of the earth and the shifting here, and having to swim ahead of suddenly the boiling water, and it's you probably don't like lose consciousness, but then find yourself up in the cavern, like the waters itself pushed you out, and there's that crack, and as that lava comes and spurts up, and there's that hit and that hiss, and the places where the water had cracked and was pouring through here are sealed, but we also see that kind of bubbling vent of steam coming up, like some of the water goes down to provide you with a source of steam to turn things, the pressure that you can use and the heat that you can use to keep this place warm, and to even if you go down to the deep parts, perhaps even use the lava itself. And I think that as you do that, I think that you will feel the cavern itself, kind of the power of this place, the power of the ritual reach out, and it shows you this figure standing over the land, chains dangling from it, and it sweeps its dark hand, and as it does, you see the shadows kind of fall from it, and people fall to the ground, and you will see it is a face not unlike that figure that came to you, that you made that deal with.
Okay.
Does that seem fair?
Oh yeah, super fair.
All right, Patrick.
Also awesome.
Yep. Yes, Patrick. Tell me, when we come to see you, when we come to see Tormod Ingridson, the Arbiter's court has been held just a little while ago. Your people probably had a representative there, but and you may have even been there. You know that the Arbiter is somewhat dismayed that more progress has not been made on bringing that southern area of Sneadosh back into the homeland, and that's the big program for the year.
Okay.
So that's the project that's listed on the Arbiter's the project sheet. Let me see here. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
I'll find that. But so where were you at? What are we doing?
I have a couple of final questions first.
Yeah.
One is, where is the capital city? Where is the Arbiter's court? Because that's where my ambassador is set up as well, basically.
Absolutely. That is in the Bharatvishi fastness, that fortress there.
Okay. So I have to figure out. I'll figure out somewhere close to there, but I have easy access to the Arbiter's court.
Absolutely.
Second one. How old is Valdemar? Because if we were in a former relationship, that sort of informs how old my character is going to be.
That's a good question. Jesse, how old is Valdemar?
Trying to remember. I think it was like mid-40s, maybe like a little, maybe say 47, 48, like
mid-40s sounds about right. What I was thinking for this. So, perfect. And then, yeah, so with that project, you and I, Lowell, Need to
Mhm.
decide if Novgorod has informed me to work against it or towards it.
Novgorod would like you to work towards it. It is it is far enough away that them joining with these people is not a danger to Novgorod. And in fact, if they gain this, they will have more wealth and a connection to additional trade routes that you can use. So it is as they say, a win-win for you.
So how would one go about adding progress to that project?
So let me pull this up. I thought we had a thing that had the projects like needs on it on the sheet. Yeah, there's the okay. So we've ticked to progress. Okay, so increase this progress track when a house delivers to the new territory, which is the area down in that south west. A useful surplus: scouts, transport, raw materials, weaponry, recruits, or spies.
All
So
those
those,
things I don't have.
yes.
Okay.
You are
but
welcome
that-
to change your things around too, now that you have that in mind.
What? No, I have money. Money can buy anything.
Okay.
I'm just trying to get my head around like what my family wants me to do going forward.
Yeah. The one that has already been delivered, the only one that's already been delivered is the horselords took coin that was entrusted them by the Arbiter and used that to purchase raw materials and put that in a sort of a way station trade encampment that has begun right on that border.
So one of my things in placing stuff on the map was putting 3 precious resources out there.
Oh yeah.
Could one of them be somewhere I could get raw materials for the project?
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah. You put that on there. You get those 3 places. It's one of your things.
Let's see. If I'm around there, I want it to be near. What's the Colossae?
The Colossae is a kind of, I believe, an old a racing track and a arena place out in the center, left over from the time of the Empire.
Did you say fine worked stone just sitting there abandoned?
Quite possibly, yes.
Yeah, I think I'll put that as one of my resources that's out there. It's not exactly secret, but we have no emotional attachments to it, so we're happy to take it apart for raw materials.
Absolutely. Grab this. Put this down here. Do you appreciate that everybody use the same font throughout here, Patrick?
I do. It's very uniform. It makes everything look neat and like it goes together, and it's not insane or anything. It's normal. It's just normal to worry about these things.
So that's one. Do you want to put the other 2 out, or do you want to focus in on how you want to deal with this raw materials thing?
I've done so much setup already. I'll figure out where the other 2 are
Sure,
later.
sure. So it seems like to me like you want to get a hold of that stuff, right?
Yes. How would I go about a large project?
That seems to me like you are going to try and claim by force. And again, force also represents diplomacy. You could do that to take a hold of it.
Yeah, I think it's the sort of thing where like this is just not something that would occur to people that have grown up around here, and that's the ancient Colosseum sort of thing. And so they get a couple days or maybe even like a week or 2 into it without any resistance before someone comes up and people start being like, you can't do that. No, we're going to stop you from doing that. So
yeah, Yeah, let's have you roll grasp.
So yeah, I think it's that matter of convincing people that it's important enough, that the Arbiter's project is important enough that we really need to do this. Oh, let's see. I have. Oh, that's not my terrible one. Good. So, blue. Two of y'all's. There we go. Where'd they go? Oh, they're down there. Oh, and they're terrible. Good. I found them and they suck. That's a 5.
That is a 5. So I think you will do that, and you will kind of go. You've been a little circumspect, but you bring your work crews out here. I mean, this is a big imperial site, so you can kind of make an argument based on that. And I think you are a couple days into it when there's a cloud and a group of riders approach. And when they approach, you will see that they are led by one of the sheriffs. And you will see this woman named Lady Sigalin, and she has across her back this spear. And it's the spear that struck down the emperor's son in one of the final battles, and it glistens still with his blood. Like most of these sheriffs and things, they were like adventurers, so they all have these items that kind of mark them out. And it very quickly, Lady Sigalin assesses the situation and puts 2 and 2 together, and will ride up and say, "Masters of Novgorod, we appreciate you having pointed out to us this eminently useful resource.
Yes, no one was using it. It's just sitting here, ruining in the elements over time. It should surely be put to a much more forward-thinking, logical use."
Absolutely, and we will.
Oh, so you're here to assist us in the process. It is rather a lot of stone, so...
She says, "I am not here to assist you in the process, foreigner."
Well, we were well underway in the project, and as you can see, we have things set up here.
Yes, and it is appreciated.
Does she have a lot of people with her?
She has people with her. You could potentially fight her on this.
I don't feel confident in supporting this land right now. Well, of course, anything to work towards the Arbiter's goals is exactly what we're here for.
And because you agree, I do not raise the turmoil in the country. The other part of
I
that,
could have raised turmoil.
Yeah. She will nod, and she will say, she will come over once it's pretty clear that she has control of the scene, and she will say, "There's no need for us to be antagonistic to one another."
I've found myself thinking that many times during our interaction thus far.
Well, keep my name in mind. I've seen your restrained judgment, and I appreciate that. You may look to me in court if you need assistance in the future.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And please, of course, keep in mind that I and mine can offer significantly more than unorthodox ideas.
That is to be seen.
What was her name one more time?
Lady Sigalin. Let's come back to Dedushka. Your people are moving to take that land. You appreciate that. The leaders are they've given you their apologies, and they said we're not ignoring you, but in order for us to do anything, we have to secure ourselves first. And once we do that, we can.
I understand, but this is a great threat, and already I felt as though you had so little faith in me. A bloodbath down south. Horrors.
Master Dedushka, we have seen what you have said, but you've also brought us this land. And if we do not act,
yes,
and at this point, people will have heard, and if we do not act, others will take it.
Yes, you are right. But I must go back south.
And who is it you're talking to? Who is the person who's speaking as kind of the leadership, who's sort of the representative person?
And we've seen kind of the gaggle of the council before, when we were at court. I kind of like it being if you remember, there was the lady they shoved out that had to speak to me. I think that she's the one who does it, but kind of her bravery then is paying off now because things are going better because she's the one that talks to me.
She says, when next season comes, I swear to you that we will assemble what agents we can and support you in what comes next.
I will hold you to that.
I will come myself.
Of course you will. I will go down. I will look into this more. The Arbiter may be kicking over an anthill that he does not understand.
I'd like to kind of cut forward. I'd like to maybe get a scene, since you are traveling, even though you're using your ritual, it does, probably takes a few, 7 league steps.
Yeah.
Tell me, Tormod, what is your, assume you have kind of more of a ways outside of the cast of that fastness. You probably have a holding of some kind, like an estate or a village. What do you imagine that is?
Yeah, I imagine it was some imperial nobles sort of villa here near the. Well, I don't know, what was this before? Was this place important before the?
It was a castle. It was kind of the place where the Imperials had their HQ and operated out of, because it was a centralized area.
Then yeah, it was like a noble who had a court villa, a home away from home to be near the court when he needed to be.
So very much in the Imperial style, and that's kind of been taken down a bit. But one of your household people who sees to things will come and will say, Master Tormod, I had word from a traveler on the road who came in that Dedushka, you know of him, who's late been in much discussions about the myths and things that have come up, that he is traveling and will be passing by here within the next hour or two.
Oh, really? Oh, you should definitely send out riders. Find him, get him. He will want to have dinner with us at the very least. He's a wonderful guest. Just wait till you hear his stories.
Oh, okay. And Dedushka, you're on the road, kind of in that bit between of these steps, and you passed by some people before. People hailed you and so on. But that one of the riders that passed by you earlier comes riding back with another person and a horse, and rides up and says, "Master Slushiat."
Slushiat.
Slushiat. I apologize. sometimes our northern tongue.
It is understandable, of course, young man.
My lord Tormod has asked if you would take shelter in his house this evening. Be fed.
Tormod!
Yes, yes.
Does he have wine open?
Most assuredly, master.
Well, then, absolutely, of course, I would be very happy to have hospitality for my old friend.
And they bring one of the horse up for you to ride to make your travel easy, and bring you back to this villa. You can see that you have the sense that maybe there's a little bit of chaos or at least disorder here, like something maybe hasn't quite gone right for Tormod recently. There's a lot of weird like people around and laborers and some things, and you're like, this seems odd. What kind of fet do you put on for Dadushka, Tormod?
I think it's something like it's sort of ostentatiously Novgorodi. Like it's that like home style feast that I've always promised you, that like when I get set up and we have the right materials and spices and the right meats that you can't even catch in this sort of country, sort of thing, that it's the thing that I've always promised in the future we should do.
Big ocean fish from the north.
Yeah. Have the fire out going. The table is sort of like heaping, even though it's like small heaping, because we're not a whole like hunt hall full, but it's that feeling of like, this is a feast that could feed 100, but we're just feeding like 10 people here, so
we could feed dozens and there's 10.
Yeah.
Jesse, can I retcon maybe have you cross paths here on your journey back from seeing your sister?
Yeah, sure.
Would you mind that?
No, I think that'd be wonderful.
Yeah. And another writer will come in and say, Master Tormod, I'm sorry to interrupt as you're starting, but there's a group from the house of the forgers that are traveling through and have asked to set up for the night, and Master Waldemar is amongst their number.
Oh, this is an auspicious evening. Dadushka, have you heard my dear friend Valdemar is coming through the area of this very night? Have you met him before?
Yes, yes, we're quite familiar, and he probably has news of where I'm heading.
Perfect. This turns out it will be a very interesting feast.
Waldemar, when you come in, they tie up your horses. The servants will take care of you. They treat you as an honored guest. When a Tormod and Dadushka see you, what is the sign for them of those injuries you suffered that you're just recovering from?
I think it's I'm moving more slowly and carefully. I think it's when someone's like, after they've recovered from like an injury and they're physically pretty much all the way there, but psychologically they still don't fully trust their body. Right. So I think I'm like walking a little bit more gingerly than they're probably used to seeing me move. I think I'm like keeping a more careful eye on where I'm putting my feet. Maybe occasionally like leaning on something. Even though if it weren't there, I would be fine. I feel like I just need the extra something.
And definitely have a servant that stays close by your elbow, a little more
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
I think Tormod is very like it's obvious enough that he needs to smooth it over, and I think his way would be like, the road has obviously been very hard on you. You must have been traveling for a long time. Come. I have comfortable rooms. You can get refreshed and get yourself ready for dinner. Wipe the dirt off.
Thank you for your hospitality, Tormod. I think I'm also like kind of uncomfortable seeing you again. Thinking about sort of the relationship between our houses and like not fully trusting your hospitality, but very badly wanting to trust your hospitality. You know, like I wouldn't have intruded if I'd known this was your estate, but you know, it was getting dark, and I very much appreciate the kindness.
Please. You can't intrude where you're invited. Come.
Yeah, so I follow, and I'm sort of like slowly and carefully. The road has been hard. The road, really, it was what happened before the road, but thankfully, thank the gods, I'm in the land. I'm recovering very well.
Recovering from what? What happened?
There was an animal attack. It worked out okay. I'm here. The animal's not. But you know, I lost a good man in the process, but enough about my troubles. I see you've set yourself up very comfortably here.
Yes, it feels well to sit on top of someone else's riches for a while. Let them have gathered it for me.
I fall silent at that. Is Dadushka with us, or are you somewhere else in this moment?
I think Dadushka is at least savvy enough to have given y'all a moment.
So I think we took that moment, and now I'm like kind of pulling you back in here. I'm like, and Dadushka, it's been, well, last I left you were in the south.
Yes, blood and death is what I found there, but
I was with you, if you recall. It was an ugly mess.
fortunately, life has returned to the north.
I heard. Is that you're doing the River of Peace?
The land works through imperfect vessels, let us say that.
Don't doubt how you approach perfection, Dadushka. You have your ways, obviously.
My way takes me back to the south. The dangers that we saw, the Fae awakened down there.
And I haven't seen my vision yet, so I think I'm actually going to say the Fae, you know, they're certainly active, Sneadosh, but they may have something to offer us. I don't think that you should be so quick to reject the gifts of the Fae. They come at a cost, but when you pay it knowingly, it can be worth it.
They are part of the land. It was the Empire that chained them, not our own. It is dealing with them that is, well, it is ill-advised, but it is not unknown. Valdemar, I would suggest you be careful, though. You are always so capable when it comes to making great bargains.
Well, not every bargain, as I look at Tormod.
Well, I look to go down there and see if I can find out more, and I hope you can help me. You always do seem to know all of the things that hide in the shadows in the nooks and crannies.
I've been in the north the past few weeks myself, but I head back to Licelli now.
I've heard that you've taken rather considerable control there.
The our forge is nearby, and the Arbiter wants me to bring it back to life. So,
Tormund, he's being quite bashful about the accomplishments that have happened there. It's ancient magic that is flowing once more out of the forge. It is a renewal.
Just the chronologies. I'm on my way back. We haven't done that yet.
Oh, you haven't done the ritual.
We sort of retconned me back in the.
Okay, hang on then.
But that's what I'm trying to do.
He's being bashful. He's already established himself as a major trader in that area.
Oh, you don't have to convince me that Valdemar is an impressive leader. I've seen what he's capable of before.
Yes. Impressive what you do, Valdemar.
Tormund does me more honor than I earned in Novgorod. Making bargains that circumstances prevent us from keeping is not something I'd like to repeat. But I appreciate your kind words, and certainly, well, it was time well spent one way or the other.
Good. Good. See, we're closer now. And we're lucky that we're not up in the north, or the feast would have already gotten cold. Now hurry, hurry. Get yourself ready. We shall retire to the feast hall. It'll be amazing. You'll love the jellied fish.
If people hustle Voldemort off to change, then in that moment after he leaves and waiting for him to return, I'll look at him. I don't think he is completely well.
He looks like he's feeling a good bit worse than he'd like to let on.
Makes one wonder. Tormund, you've always been an inquisitive sort. Do you know much of Scaramouche?
Sneadosh.
Sneadosh. Scaramouche.
Sneadosh.
No, not until recently. It's a bit far outside of my normal sphere of influence. I've heard the most amazing things about it recently, though.
As I say, I'm planning on going there. Maybe you would be interested in extending your, good will journeys. You've done so much in our own kingdom. Perhaps Novigrad would be interested in what's occurring even further south.
I admit I've wanted to, but I would feel like such an intruder coming with nothing to offer, going to see this grand project of the Arbiters without bringing any sort of help of my own.
The Arbiter. Yes, he reaches out, even though he doesn't see what he's grabbing.
Yes, but a reach beyond one's grasp, that just takes helping hands.
I suppose so.
I'll say, however, have you run across this Lady Segalin before?
Whoa.
Yeah,
You're
you're
muted, my
muted.
dear.
You didn't hear me click it and then re-click it. Anyway, so this is an interesting question. This is a one of the sort of people from the realm. The possibility exists that you did. Dedushka, do you think you did?
Remind me who she is again, Patrick?
She's the lieutenant that just came and stole my project out from under me.
Ah,
one of the Arbiter's special heroes.
One of the special lieutenants. Then probably I've heard of, and may have even in passing met.
So tell us one thing about Lady Segalin.
Oh, I remember her. During the rebellion, she was ever so clever, always asking questions. I would say, considering the defenses that the Empire had around their fortifications, had she not figured out the use of siegecraft, there's no way they would have won. Very clever girl.
I'm sure she seemed quite nice. Her era of asking first appears to have passed, though. She seems more interested in doing and taking and overriding other people's projects they'd already. Anyways,
Has
I
she
thought I
been
had
a problem for you?
a bit of a thorn. I'm sure if your arbiter trusts her, she must be entirely trustworthy.
Trust? That is not how the Arbiter works exactly. The Arbiter creates fear. I imagine that he is confident that she is fearful of him.
Yes, yes, your arbiter does think it interesting that people should fear him.
Let me cut briefly from this. We may come back to this. Waldemar, who is your sparrow here?
Oh, that's right. I forgot I had sparrows. Or rather, I forgot that this was a situation where I could apply one. I don't know if this is too cold. I want, like, part of me wants it to be Tormod's personal valet. Who, but I think that's too.
Well, I mean, you obviously recommended him to me. I was here in this land. You know, there are certain staff positions we hadn't filled yet.
That's what it is. It's not someone I know from back when I was an ambassador, brokering the deal during the rebellion. It's and we were lovers. It was later when you were. Yes, that's much better. I like that. Right. That that your valet is someone who I sent to you, later. I like that. Thank you. That makes me feel better about it.
And the valet has kind of followed you to get you settled in your room, and he will nod and he will say, Master Waldemar, I had word that you were coming through here.
Yeah, well, thank you for reporting in. Hold on, let me look at my list of questions here.
I think the clear thing is he can probably fill you in on what Tormod was attempting and how that got stopped.
Yeah, I think that's what I want to know.
Yeah.
It's what is Tormod's play here? And I mean, I heard all of that as a player, so
right.
now
And he says, it's unclear where we go from here, but there was a moment there where I thought it might turn to an open battle.
That would be terrible. Why the Arbiter insists on encouraging infighting instead of cooperation is, well, above your pay grade anyway. Thank you, and take good care of him.
As always, bow out there. Mm-hmm. Let's have a brief, like one last exchange of the three of you at dinner. There, food is brought. Some of the food is probably local, just the nature of the staples to outdo it. But what is the centerpiece? Is it a jellied eel, or what kind of thing do you suppose?
I do like that, like a really big specimen of an eel. So there's just this like almost 2 foot thick block of jelly that has to like clear aspic sort of jelly so that it can be laid out and like it's swimming through the jelly, and we have like greens and vegetables and things arrayed under as a layer underneath it to be like the water bed. It's unnecessarily fancy and really hard to choke down.
I imagine that we have some grain alcohol, probably some wines. We haven't really established that, but that's served out. What is the beverage of choice for Novgorod? Is it like a kvass? Is it a vodka? Is it a wine?
I think it's like a really heavily fortified ale.
Okay. It's super stout.
Oh yeah.
Your straw stands up in it, kind of thing. Okay.
Liquid bread.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, very much that.
Yeah. So you will have this nice dinner. You have a chance to retire. Waldemar, I don't know. When we come back to you, what do we see you saying to the group here?
Yeah, so I think I've been drinking kind of like watered wine, and I don't know, and I think I've been doing more listening than talking, and I think I want to see how much Tormod still trusts me. So I'm kind of like, I know the whole story, and I'm kind of just trying to sort of draw him out on, so like, tell me what you've been working on here. Like, this is at the end of the night when you know, full, maybe like post meal smoking, something like that.
Yeah, I think like there's been a couple of times over the course of the meal where you tried to like subtly prod him, and he would give a look at like people that were there like serving the meal, or some of his assistants that were around, that you get the feeling like he obviously doesn't want to talk. So you wait until that sort of like after dinner drink or smoke sort of thing, and he gives a look around to see if there's anyone else besides the three of you listening, and then he will go off on a full rant about Lady Sigalin.
And like
completely,
completely,
he'll build up to it, but we've had enough drinks and enough sort of comfort at this point that it quickly goes full blown, just like, oh my god, this woman.
and like completely honest, matches everything that the valet said to me. Like, or are you holding something back?
I mean, he's obviously trying to spin it to be more in his favor, and more of like a very dramatic, tense, long moment where no one knew what blades were going to be drawn, sort of thing, when it was really just like an eyebrow and then he left. Whatever. But you know, it's no, he's not saying anything wildly untrue.
Okay.
And he doesn't seem to be like he's in favor. He seems a little confused when he says it, but he's in favor of this whole project down there in the whatever place. He's very behind this Sneadox place. It sounds lovely, so we should be supporting the Arbiter in this. He seems a little off kilter, but he's giving a bit of a line there, I guess.
Got it. But also, yeah, the Arbiter, the Arbiter's word is just, but sometimes his lieutenants try to grab glory for themselves.
That must surely be it. She certainly seemed rather grabby.
I raise my eyebrows at that.
When great men pass, small people try to fill the vacuum. It is not surprising to see small people grasp for things that they do not deserve. Until we find another who can rise up and be that great hero, well, then we will see small, grasping people taking things they don't deserve. To the hero, and I will drink. Which I've been doing copiously before.
Indeed, to larger and more impressive gambits. May she have fun with my first and easiest idea.
Tormod, does that mean you're interested in traveling down south?
Yes, I think maybe if I had more of a personal knowledge of the situation, it might help me support this whole endeavor better. I must admit my southern geography was never particularly great, so it's not a country I'm overly familiar with.
Good. I think that having Novigrad take a look at what's happening there Well, it could only be positive.
Well, it's getting late, and it's been a long journey, but we would certainly welcome you in the South, Tormod. Your company is always a joy, and I would happily host you at Lacelli as you've hosted me here. But tread lightly. Your patron should tread lightly, I should say. There are many factions down there, all vying for the Arbiter's eye. And some just vying for Sneadosh. Adding an extra lever might just crack something, and not necessarily in the way that we would like it to crack.
I genuinely appreciate your concern and will take you up on that offer of hospitality, but don't worry too much for me. People everywhere want different things, but trust me when I say that Novgorodi jewels have no problem catching anyone's eye.
In Sneatosh, you might be surprised. There, and I go on to, I don't want to spend a lot of time on this, but I go on to explain the trade situation there, where they have all of these wonderful finished goods that they export, and they don't really make anything and don't really actually want raw materials very much. I tell him that whole story of me being rebuffed and etc.
But not the part about you turning the crowd against them and changing that trade up.
Oh, no.
Okay.
No, I leave that part of the story out.
Okay.
Yeah, there's definitely this underlying sort of confident theme of, oh yes, I'm sure they have very fine southern goods.
Then it seems to me perhaps we should accompany you, Valdemar, to Lacelli. We can then head south from there down the river, a much more comfortable trip.
You're certainly welcome to join me in Lacelli. Dadushka, we shed blood together. And came out ahead in the end.
A head and a sword, as it were.
Yeah. Costly though it was. So.
And any assistance you give, I'm sure, will help us in our continued journey.
And I think with that, I have to say good night, because I do have to get I have to get back to Lacelli quickly, and then leave early in the morning. But you may travel with me or follow shortly after, and you'll be welcomed.
That seems like a logical place for us to kind of we can transition forward. We'll start with Dadushka, Waldemar in the south. Afterwards, I imagine that Tormod and Dadushka. I imagine that Valdemar waited until they had left the town before he did that ritual, so that you could keep that a little bit to yourself. So yeah, let's start there next time. We'll stay in the same age. For the moment, we might roll forward next time or the time after. We'll see about that. Jesse, what do you think? Generally, Waldemar has opened the forge up. What is going to be your next step, so we know that we have that as kind of the backdrop for
right? So I think the next thing Valdemar wants to accomplish in this season, at the very least, is to get the forge so it's to get the forge what's the word, manned, to have whether they're skilled engineers or let's say skilled smiths and laborers,
artisans,
artisans, right, to be able to so I think I'm going to try, if I were around, I'd be trying to find a surplus and then create it and then put them there.
We will do that as a kind of a love letter when you come back.
That sounds
Okay.
great. And then like whatever happens in terms of the season turning and the age turning, like we'll figor out how to make that work.
We'll fall back and do that so you get that opportunity to use those moves. And so we'll start there next time. Tormod, you have long memories, so remind us when we start that if you want to do that in Lacelli or one of the other courts down there when we get there, that you can trigger that. Does that seem okay with everybody? Patrick, thank you for coming in to do this. I appreciate that. And we have 5 sessions, so
yeah, I'm excited about it. I've been wanting to play this legacy mod for a while. And I'm already really happy about like the situation going on and where my family is ending up in the middle of everybody else's.
Mm-hmm. And Jesse, Tyler, thank you for being generous with your attention and your time. I know we did the character creation for the start there, and but you guys were all very, very generous with your time here. So
he managed very quickly to get through what took us session and a half.
Session and a half. Yeah.
Thanks so much, and thank you, Patrick. I've never put the joy to play with you.
Yeah, it was nice to play with you too.
Looking forward to future games. I'm sad I can't make the next 2, but
I'm gonna miss you the next 2.
But I'm very excited to come back in a few weeks. So
awesome. I'm going to stop the recording.